Welcome back to Unperfect with Alexi. This is the perfect place for imperfect people. And today we have a special guest, my husband, Riley.
Hello, hello.
He's been on the podcast before. If you guys have not listened to Meet Daddy Riley, that episode is so hilarious and you should definitely listen to it. But today we wanted to come back and chat about parenting. And we are in the thick of it right now. We have a 2 and a 4-year-old and they're both boys. Lots of energy. My husband and I are both entrepreneurs and we do not hire childcare. We just kind of rotate back and forth. We have...
You can only turn their energy into real energy to power the house.
Well, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
How could we do that? It's kind of like on Monsters, Inc. when they use like kids' emotions to power their energy. Was that a Monsters, Inc. reference?
What? Yeah, the scare.
Wow. That took me a second. Okay, let's let the elephant out of the room. The cat out of the bag. I'm high. This is my last time doing the THC for a bit, I think, because I'm really dedicated to my self-growth right now, and I feel like it's giving me a little bit of anxiousness and anxiety in general. Not right now.
It's just dragging you down a little bit where you want to go.
Yeah. So
Just kind of got a hold on you.
yeah, it kind of does have like a little hostage on me. And I'm doing so good and making all of these strides, but I just know intuitively in my soul, I need to cut it out for at least right now. But Riley took a little pooski before, so I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do an inaugural send-off. What's an inaugural? What's the opposite of inaugural? What's the send-off? Whatever. We're doing a little send-off on this podcast today about parenting, but this is kind of a tricky topic, I feel like, because parenting is...
Well, there's
everybody...
many views on it.
There's so many views on it, and everybody does it differently, and a lot of people feel shame around parenting.
Not one parenting person is the same as another.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let's start the podcast on this note. The way that you and I see the world is different because it's all formed based off of how we were raised. And that's where we lived, what our home was like, how much money our parents made, our socioeconomic status, our race, our religion, our culture, like the 5 people that we hung out with, just everything around us was so morphed in one way. And that's the way that we see the world, and we think that the world is that way until you get a little bit older and your mind kind of unlocks and opens up a little bit to the fact that there are billions of different perspectives on the world.
Mm-hmm.
So just know that if you listen to something in this podcast that agitates your spirit, it's not a personal attack. It's just the way we see the world is a little bit different. But I'm not saying I'm not open to learning new things. Like, I'm constantly trying to learn new things. Like, I'm in freaking therapy about parenting right now. Like, I feel like such a shit parent sometimes because I can see like my coping mechanisms that were passed down from the generation before me. But it's all I know because of the lens that I see the world with. So just a heads up, if you ever feel like listening to this, something triggers you, like, you can skip this episode, or you can go a little bit inward and figure out why that's a trigger to you. Okay. So before we really dive in, make sure that since you guys are already here, that you subscribe to this podcast, that you leave 5 stars, leave a review, give this a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel. I feel like I always say this at the end and a lot of people hop off. So I just want to make a conscious effort because, you guys, if I'm being 100% real with you, I'm trying to take Unperfect with Alexi to the next level. Like, I'm trying to get a Spotify brand deal. I'm putting that out here. I want it to be known that I'm taking this podcast to the next level, which is another reason why I'm quitting the marijuana, even though I feel like it makes a really great episode. It doesn't have to be a permanent thing. I'm just playing around with it. Okay. I think we should play around in life a little bit more. We're going to talk about our beliefs before and after becoming parents, how those have changed, things that we wish they would have known before becoming a parent, things that have helped save our sanity as parents with formerly 2 under 2, but now 2 toddler boys, 20 months apart. Fun times. We're into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. Wow. And any words of wisdom and encouragement that we may have for you guys to go through, we definitely do. And then also how my husband and I juggle being parents and entrepreneurs. Like, I feel like most people don't talk about that. Like, that's a freaking hard part.
Yeah, it's even harder when you're in separate ways with your entrepreneurship.
Yeah, like our jobs are so different. Like his is a very hands-on service job. We'll get into that. Okay, so what are some beliefs that you had before becoming a parent, and how did they change after you became a parent?
I mean, just like tonight. It's like...
Tell him about tonight.
My nephew. Oh, I'll never give my kids sugar. I'll never give them tablets. You just wait.
Well, he didn't say I'll never. He's like,
oh, yeah.
I won't give them sugar until they're 5 or 6. And I'm like, we felt that way too.
Yep.
We said no tablets, no sugar. They're going to be eating extremely healthy. We're not going to give them those chicken nuggets. We're going to make every meal for them.
Yeah.
So funny. I wish we could roll the tapes back to when we said that, but you just don't know until you know.
You got to find out for yourself, honestly.
That's my biggest thing is like before we had kids, I genuinely was like, this is going to be so cute and so fun. And I get to take this little baby everywhere and show them the world. And we get to go visit people and people want to hold them. And it's so magical. Like, honestly, the newborn experience is magical, especially with your first one. Like, it's just so cool to see how everybody, like, nobody hates a baby. Like, babies are the most innocent form of human life. And they're so cute and they smell good. But what I didn't realize is what the contrast of that magic is some darkness. Like, I was so depressed after having my son. And it's wild that more people don't talk about postpartum. I think it's becoming more of a thing, but only as of lately. Like, imagine all of the women in our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers and our great-greats and so on and so forth, their generations. Imagine what they went through without any information about postpartum depression.
No.
Could you, like, no wonder people just thought women shouldn't vote and women are crazy. Like, our hormones make us crazy, and they make us feel things that we cognitively don't necessarily feel, like in our rational brain.
Crazy.
What was it like for you watching me after giving birth? Like, how I changed after that?
I was a little worried.
You were? Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Everything that was going on, and you were really struggling with the whole nursing thing. And
that is something that I wish I knew. Oh my gosh. When it comes to breastfeeding, guys, I wanted to be that mom that was so natural and my baby just nursed on me. And, it was just like this mother-son bonding relationship. And my son had a tie, a lip and a tongue tie. And we got both of them cut. And that in itself was so traumatic to watch. Like, we didn't even go in the room, but he came back screaming, like he
blood
was
dripping out of his mouth.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, they usually don't bleed this much. And we're like, what? Brand new parents have never done this before, hardly got any sleep the nights before because we're like watching the baby breathe and their chest go up and down. Like, it's scary. Being a parent is scary. That's another thing. We could touch on that in a second, but breastfeeding, I had this delulu that it was just going to be this easy, magical experience for me. And it was not at all. Like, I remember being so freaking frustrated with it. My son would not latch.
We tried every trick in the book.
We went to lactation specialists and like still could not get it. And like, he was never satisfied when he would latch. It was not great. And then, so I went to exclusively pumping. That was when my mental health spiraled. I did it for a month and a half and I was like, I have to stop because I'm going to go insane. Like, this is torture. It's torturous. Like, your nipples are cracked and they're bleeding, and like getting that strawberry milk, moms who have had that know, like, it is the most disappointing thing in the world. Like, the shit a woman's body goes through in order to have children, between the hormones and the emotions and the physical massive fact that you're pushing out a human. Like, it's wild. It's not for the weak of heart. Like, everybody just made pregnancy seem like it was just going to be this easy, fun, beautiful, magical experience, which it is. But if you take a step back and look at it from a different lens, it's like, ooh, you go through so much. And I feel like people just don't talk about it. I ended my pumping journey at 1.5 months with my first son, and with my second son, I went to exclusively formula. I mean, I did a week of pumping colostrum and then I went to formula because mentally I just knew that I could not go to that place in order for me to be the best version of me that I could be to these kids. So, Mom, if you need formula, if pumping is feeling too overwhelming or exhausting, or breastfeeding is just, it's taking a toll on your mental health, I think that it's better for everybody, for you to be okay with the formula route, because at the end of the day, fed is best, and you're not a bad mom. You're actually a good mom because you want to do what's best for your kid, and that's to have a happy, sane mother.
Let's go back for a second. Do you think that somebody can prep you for parenting?
No, absolutely not. I don't think anybody could say anything. I don't even think you listening to this podcast would prep you for what it is to be a parent, because when you actually get in the thick of it, you're up in the middle of the night, you're changing blowouts, you're exhausted, you are low on sleep, are bleeding out, your vagina looks like hamburger, like, or you have to bidet to wipe, which we need to get a bidet. Add that to the Christmas list. While I want to be real about parenting and how it is a disgusting journey, and I mean the fact how much poop you touch and bodily fluids, like if you've ever had a sick baby who's vomiting, you know. Our youngest, when he was born, he developed pyloric stenosis, so at 6 weeks old he had to have surgery because he was projectile vomiting everywhere. Talk about stress and being like, am I gonna lose this kid? Like, my mind started going to this place where it's like, should I prepare for the worst? It's scary and it's sad seeing your little baby hooked up to monitors.
All hooked up, yeah. All these hoses and lines coming off of them.
Yeah, I mean, so
Tough.
that's another thing that, I mean, we just never expected. And nothing can prepare you. But when you first come home with your baby that first night, your life is changed forever. That's something I didn't expect with having kids. Like, I kind of thought that we could just bring our kids and, you know, they're incorporated into our lives. No, your life, when you become a parent, your life is different. Like, you are saying, I am going to have a completely different life.
Yeah.
Because your priorities change massively. Keeping someone else alive.
It's no longer about you anymore.
I know, it's hard to be selfish. Being sick as a parent, you don't get to be sick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You don't. I don't know how single parents do it. Honestly, you guys are the real MVPs, especially if you don't have help local to you or can't afford to hire help. Being sick with kids, it's like you don't get to be sick. And that hurt me in my core, because I love laying around all day doing nothing, having an excuse to just veg out. and be like, what? I'm sick. No, I can't anymore. That was the one good thing about being sick, and that's gone.
The list is on and on.
Well, give us one last top one.
Time. You don't realize how fast time goes by until you have kids.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought, man, it's already been 2 years since I've been out of school.
Oh, and then now it's been 4 years since you
Yeah,
had your...
I got a 4 and a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And it just blink.
I literally feel like I graduated high school like 3 years ago maybe, and next year's my 10-year.
And I can only guarantee you that time ticker's just going to get faster.
That's what people
kids.
say.
It's just life might get easier in a way, but it just gets busier.
Yeah, because then if your kids are in sports, like we plan on having our kids doing something extracurricular like that. And then you have tournaments, and then you have meets, and then you have practices, and then you have whatever. So your schedules start getting filled, so then you're busier, and you're constantly like, okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? And then all of a sudden your kids are 18, and you're like, holy smokes. What happened? Where has time gone? What are some things that you wish you would have known before becoming a parent?
Just truly how hard it is.
It's really hard. It's very challenging.
Wouldn't ever want to change it.
Yeah, me neither. They're really cool. I like having kids. I think it's cool to be able to put good back into the world, or at least that's the hope, right? Is that you raise them up and raise them well enough that they continue to create a ripple effect in the world of good change, and not just project all of our bullshit onto them and then put that out in the world. My Instagram sisters, I asked them what they wish they would have known before becoming a parent, and here's what they said. Michelle said how hard it was to juggle work, kids, and their multiple sports. Jen said, doesn't help if your kids are super sassy. We're coming into that right now.
Yeah.
Pray for us. Thank you. Marina said, I could go on and on. P said, I'm taking a conscious parenting class in January to help me raise my inner child. If you are trying to be really intentional about having kids, start therapy immediately. Like, start healing those parts of yourself, because you will project them onto your kids. You can say you're not going to, you can say you're going to be different, but they slip out of the cracks. I mean, we're all human. We all have things that are good about us, and we have things that we don't like so much about us. But I think if you're actively working on yourself and you're able to apologize to your kids, I think that's a
good one. Being able to apologize to them, say you're sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they're humans. Like, you would apologize to a friend. I know people don't want you to, look at your kids as friends, but like, how would you treat a friend? When your kids grow up, you're not going to still be their like parent. Like, you inevitably are going to turn into a friend to your child. You hang out with them, you spend time together, and you talk about life and real things. And, you're not telling them what they can and can't do anymore, like you do with the boundaries of having a child under 18. You're teaching them how to be in the world. Like, what would you want to happen to you? Be the good that you want to see in the world. And that's what you have to teach your kids. You have to teach them how to be good. And you can't just say it. You have to act it too. Because you can say, you can do as I say, but not as I do all the time. But they ultimately are going to copy your actions. So that's why I like being a parent, because it's a giant ass mirror on you. Do you want to change that, or are you okay with just letting that continue to slide for the rest of your life and potentially suffering the consequences for it? Riley said that you weren't going to change all the poopy diapers. He wished he knew that before becoming a parent. Mariah said breathing techniques and yoga. I think that's good. The breathing techniques especially, man. Like, when you're in a heated moment, we're just like so mad, a breathing technique would help calm the nervous system quite a bit. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, solid one.
Elise said, I didn't know how hard the newborn stage was.
I didn't realize I'd be running off of 2 to 3 hours of sleep a day. Like, that was the norm.
Isn't it wild, like, how much work it takes? It takes a lot of work to raise kids. And that's why when they say it takes a village, it really, really does. Because honestly, that's another tip. Take any help you can get. If grandma wants to take them every weekend, you might want to start saying yes. It will help your mental sanity. I promise. Alicia said the importance of healing and finding yourself first before becoming a parent. I think that that's important. Charisse said, literally nothing can prepare you for parenthood. We got to thug it out. That is so true. We're all in this together. It's like a secret society. I saw a TikTok about that yesterday. Some lady's like, I feel like parenting is a secret society where it's like, you just look at another parent and you're like, oh, I know.
Well,
I know. Okay.
talk a different language.
Yes. So, Rouse, what are some things that have helped save your sanity with parenting?
Definitely getting down in their eye level.
Yeah.
Because it forces me to like talk into their eyes and just not point and shout at them.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
So it's an instant like, okay, I got to talk to him in a regular voice here. Like, you're in his face.
Yeah.
You're not just up here, get out of here.
Yeah, that helps a ton. And also, I've noticed my tone, if I'm in a really crabby mood and I get really short and snappy with my kids, then they're short and snappy with each other. And then they're short and snappy with me. And it's just a ripple effect. So being mindful of your emotions, because your kids will mirror you. On days when I'm like super patient and chipper and cheerful, the days go so much better. And I say this coming off of 3 miserable days of me being in a crabby mood.
It's just crazy how our actions come out through them.
And they're giant ass mirrors.
Yeah, everything they do is they learn some from us.
The other day, I said to Noah, you need to wash this blanket. I'm like, it stinks. And then he goes up to Eli right after and he's like, Eli, you stink. You stink. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like immediately. Yeah. I'm like, okay, gotta rephrase that because that's not how I wanted that to come off, but that's probably how he perceived it.
Yeah.
And that's why he regurgitated that. So, okay, that's one thing from my experience as being a bully. I was a bully in middle and high school. And that is a lot to do with the things that were being said to me at home. These are things that I'm working out in therapy right now. But I would regurgitate them and vomit them onto other people because it felt very heavy for me as a child who did not understand that was not okay. I wanted it off of me. And so I word vomited it onto other people and I projected it onto them, and it wasn't okay for me to do. And I've apologized to the people I've done it to, but it just goes to show that it all starts at home. What are some words of wisdom and encouragement for the parents that are going through it?
Hang on, you'll get there.
Just hang on.
Yeah. Where we're at seems so far away.
Yeah. I mean,
and then you look back and you're like, what happened? I don't even remember that phase. Like, what?
I know. Now when you get those like Snapchat memories.
I feel like when still the best phase is like when they could start walking.
Yeah,
like,
that's really fun.
Like, well, you got relief. Like you didn't have to carry them everywhere anymore.
The crawling phase was whenever somebody has a kid in the crawling phase, I'm like, bless. That was my worst phase. I'm like, I will see you when you're walking. Everything's in the mouth. It's just so hard. Yeah. You have zero independence. Like that's the hardest time. Going from 1 kid to 2 kids was so much harder for me than going from 0 to 1. Like I think I went crazy 100%. For the first. It was just so much. Like you had no free time. Like you are constantly, there's so many demands and needs of you. Like baby's crying, toddler needs something, cats meowing, dogs barking. Like it's so overstimulating being a parent. It is so overstimulating. So my words of wisdom and encouragement would be like, you are seen and you are validated in that feeling of just being overstimulated and like you want to run away. There were so many times where I'm like, I just want to run away. I would have to go lock myself in another room and just take time to just be alone. Like, you know that there's so many times I've told you, like, don't talk to me. Don't think about me. Don't ask me for anything. I'm just pretend I'm not here. Like, ignore me.
Yeah.
Like, I am that type of person where I need to be
seen.
I do not. I want to be invisible for just a minute. Okay. So you're validated, but remember the saying that the days are long and the years are short, because as your kids get older, you're going to start to realize how fast time does fly. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, looking at these like Snapchat memories or Facebook on this day, or, you know, these things that come up that remind you of what happened last year, what happened 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. You're going to be like, I cannot believe time has gone this fast. As much as I hate to be that person to say it, but I'm going to, like, there are moments that I miss when my kids were younger, like when they were babies, like little toddlers. Like, it's just like little moments. I don't want to go back, but there are moments that I miss. And I feel like I could have been more intentional in certain moments to be more present. But honestly, I really felt like I was just in survival mode. I also have a very low stress threshold, as you can tell from my panels that came back, that my adrenal glands are burnt out. Like, I'm just ready to heal now. And as the kids get older and a little bit more easier, you'll get there. How the hell do we juggle parenthood and entrepreneurship?
First come, first serve, and we got to schedule around each other, essentially.
We have shared calendars on our iPhones, and if a date's open, it's fair game. We just put whatever in the calendar. I'm going to Good Times Camp with Alicia Kumar in January, and that's a 3 or 4 day trip. So I just put that in the calendar, and I knew months in advance. My husband's going hunting in Hawaii, and so he put that on the calendar. Like, if we know we're taking some kind of trip in advance, we'll put it on there.
Work.
When it comes to work, every Sunday we sit down and we're like, okay, what do you have this week and what do I have this week? So I pretty much work around his schedule because his is more weather depending. So he has only certain amount of times and time frames and time slots that he can actually complete the job, and I can work wherever, whenever. So it just makes most sense that way. So if he's working, for example, he just got home from 3 days away doing a job about 2.5 hours away from us. And I've been with the kids for the last 3 days. So I know that Thursday, Friday, maybe even Saturday morning, I'm going to be doing some work. And then Sunday usually is the day that we take off to not do anything work related. That's our holy day. So last thing, I polled my audience again on, you guys, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you please just follow me on there. I poll my audience all the time. Follow UnPerfect with Alexi and Alexi McKinley. So I polled my Instagram audience and I asked them if they have any parenting questions that they want us to answer on the podcast. So we'll answer 4. Reconciling with not having a village to help raise your kid.
We've been very, very, very blessed.
Very.
To have lots and lots of help, which I don't know what we'd do without that, honestly.
I think we would go crazy.
It'll get easier.
I have a piece of advice.
Find some friends, I guess.
Literally, find a community of people that you can keep yourself busy with. Like, take them to the park, get them outside, just like do as many things as you humanly possibly can to get them moving and active and burn as much energy as humanly possible.
Is that what you usually do when I'm gone?
Yeah. I'll push them in the stroller and I'll go walk 3 miles, or I'll take them to the park, or I'll take them to one of my friend's house. Hell, if it's raining, I take them to the McDonald's playground because I sit inside. They're busy up in those nasty things. And I'm able to have a minute for myself. I learned that from my mother-in-law. Like, you just have to take them and be like, go, because they will get stir crazy in the house. So I'm sorry that you don't have any help. I would recommend plugging into your local church because they probably have really good recommendations for babysitters or building that community if you want to have a date night or just, play dates or anything that you can just get yourself a little bit of space with. Do you set boundaries on screen time? My kid's addicted.
And when it becomes an issue, when I pull the plug, is when we take a break.
It might be a brutal couple of days, but they will start finding new things to do, especially if you help them, especially if you sit down with them and you're like, okay, let's paint, or let's do this little science project together, or let's go outside.
When you say, okay, let's have it, we're all done for the day or whatever, and it becomes an issue, at that point, that's when it gets pulled.
Yeah, but we come from the generation, call us old fashioned, where you play outside and like you get fresh air and you're not just sitting on a screen. We want our kids to be able to function in the real world. Like,
it's still healthy to interact with people.
Yeah. Parenting while struggling with self-image. You want me to start on that one?
Yeah.
Think that it is super important for you to do whatever you can to heal your self-image right now, because your kids are watching everything you do. The way you talk to yourself, the way you treat yourself, the words you say about yourself. If you put these like crazy restrictions on your diet, like if you're a yo-yo dieter, if you look in the mirror and say, oh, I look so fat or I look so ugly. You may still have those thoughts, but you don't have to say them out loud. So if you are struggling with your self-image and you feel like you can't not say negative things, just don't say them out loud. Say them in your head. Because you don't want your kids to adopt those negative self-images about themselves. Because remember, kids learn by watching. So even if you have to fake it till you make it, like the most sexy, hot, beautiful woman in the world, like I'm such a queen. I mean, that's not even a lie though. You are. You just don't see it yet. But start telling yourself that you are, because it's already true. You just don't believe it yet. But say it until you believe it.
I just think it's amazing what a woman's body goes through to have a baby. It's wild.
Mm-hmm. Embrace it. If you can tell yourself, like, I made that. I made a human. My body physically transported a human into this world. I grew this baby in my belly for 10 months. And look what my body was able to provide for me. What a blessing she is. Just gotta flip the script a little.
I think you're way sexier after.
Really?
You've had a baby than before.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Huh?
Why? What are the reasons?
Just my attraction towards you has just gotten next level.
Really?
Really?
Oh my gosh, honey. I'm a words of affirmation girly. That means a lot. Thank you. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But you know what? I could feel it now that you say it. I feel like before that it was like, let's fuck, Like when you're dating, you're like, let's bang. And then now I feel like you're like, well, that's good to know. Ladies, just know you heard that from a man. A real man.
Real man. All you fake mans out there. This is a real one.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Advice when you feel you don't even know yourself. How to feel confident becoming a parent. How can I be confident in my abilities as a parent if I don't know myself?
I think the key, is to like finding a hobby, finding something you like.
Yeah.
I don't know. That really helped me, was finding a routine or a hobby, something you really liked, and keep busy with that.
Yeah.
Have something to look forward to.
He actually taught me that, because I would just my hobby was working, and I was working 24/7 and just on my computer and like not interacting with anybody and not going to plans and just like trying desperately to build my business every waking moment that I had. Build my business sounds like I'm an MLM. I'm not. But he was like, you need to get a hobby. He's like, you work too much. You're behind the computer all the time. You need to do something. And it offended me at first. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm trying to build something for us. But then I slept on it and I thought about it, and my defensiveness went down, because you know what? Why I got triggered by it is because I knew he was right. I knew that I needed to get a hobby and do something. And so last summer, my friend Morgan invited me to golf, and I became a golf girly. Even if I'm not the best at it, I have a group of girls that I golf with now, and it's just fun to be outside and doing something and off my phone. Like, I work on my phone. I'm on it so much. It's so easy to just fall into the slip of like just phone addiction.
Do you look forward to it?
Golf?
Each week?
Oh yeah. I love like being like, hey Ross, I gotta go. I'm gonna go golf, Okay, because that's the running joke with women. Like, women who have golfing husbands know. It's like, hey babe, I'm gonna go golfing all day. I'm like, I need an all day sport. So I'm gonna start golfing too.
But now you get what we go.
Yeah, well, golf, okay, it's a mental game for sure. Like it literally, I can see why some guys are like, I hate this game, and then they continue to play it, because you can have the best game ever, and then the next time you go, you play the worst you ever have. And then it's like you want to quit and then never do it again. And then you end up back on the course and you get a little bit better each time. And then you fall on your butt again. And you're like, what the hell happened? You know, it's so mental, and I like the mental challenge of it. But it also is one of those sports that you can do for the rest of your life because it's so low impact. And then you're out in the sunshine and the air, and you're just getting outside and doing something, and you're walking, especially if you walk a whole golf course. I think that you have to take it really slow. I think you have to slow down and not feel like you have to have everything figured out. I think it comes with a lot of grace for yourself and a lot of forgiveness for yourself for not having all of the answers. Like, nobody gave us classes on how to be a parent, and every kid is different. Every situation.
Nobody has all the answers.
Nobody has all the answers. Everybody just figures it out. Like, everybody who's a parent is in survival mode, and then you start to just kind of be like, okay, well, this worked, so I'll try that again. Or like, that didn't work so great, I'll try it a little bit differently next time. I mean, just play with it. Like,
trial and error, constant.
Honestly, if you can tell yourself at the end of every day, I've kept my kid alive for another day, then I think you've won.
It's like being out in the wild.
Life or death. That's how I felt becoming a parent. It was like life or death. Like you
Bears are out to get you.
I mean, you got to figure it out. You're a parent now. And I think that in itself should give you a layer of confidence. Like, look, I'm able to keep myself and somebody else alive. Like, it's not for the faint of heart, and not everybody can do it. And I think you should give yourself a pat on the back for even being in this position where you are right now, where you have healthy children, where you, you know, you both are here another day, no matter how many kids you have, like that you were able to feed them for another day. Like, I think we need to be a lot more gentle on ourselves, because parenting in itself is fucking hard. Like, as I've told you.
You signed up for a job and a half.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing with parenting is, like, you don't get to take a 10-minute break or a lunch break or anything like that. Like, if your kid doesn't nap, you're screwed. It's really hard. And I think, honestly, I don't think having a kid is hard in the way of, like, you know, having to go do things all the time and a lot of energy. I think that is a part of it, but I think the mental gymnastics of it is the hardest part, where it's like, put these pants on now. It's like there's a little argument about everything while they're like trying to establish their dominance, and it's like, okay, like, can you just put the damn crock on?
It's hard, but it's amazing.
Yeah, it's very rewarding. Like, life has purpose now. Like, you thought before life had purpose, and when you become a parent, your life has a different purpose.
Yep.
And seeing your baby for the first time, like, it's such a magical experience, and it's nothing can prepare you for it in the good and the bad. Like, there's so much joy and happiness and beauty and moments. Like, being a parent is just all about moments, you know, and creating moments. And with the good, there's going to be the bad, which I tried to shed light on in this podcast, but I want to end it on a positive note, because it's not all bad. Like, it is a really beautiful experience in how you grow and how your kids grow up. And then the satisfaction of, like, seeing your kids say please and thank you, like, and just seeing, like, little hard work pay off. Like, it's just really, it's a very rewarding job. It is the most challenging, but it's very rewarding.
They're completely on the other ends of the spectrum. The hardest job, I feel like, in life, but it's the most rewarding job. You
know, the North Sea fishermen that I see on TikTok that are, like, in these big oil rigging ships that, like, have these massive waves that constantly come over them. It's kind of like that, where you have a really extreme job, but I'm sure they get paid, like, insane amounts of money, you know, like, so there is a massive reward to the other end of the extreme.
Yeah.
But okay, that could have just been the weirdest example. I've found myself on North Sea TikTok, and I've been watching these boats in the Atlantic just get mauled with waves, and, like, it's all this, like, Celtic Irish music.
I was like,
where they're like,
when do you watch these guys?
It's like, oh, it's like kind of somber. And I'm like, oh, now I have some irrational fear that I'm going to end up in the middle of the ocean on one of these boats. Thank you guys so much for coming back and hanging out with us. I hope that you guys took something from this episode. And if you did, would you do me a favor and screenshot the little graphic of this and put it on your Instagram story and tag me so I can reshare it with my audience? That's a free way to support this podcast. Or give it a 5 stars or a thumbs up, or just subscribe and come back week after week. I love doing this. This is the funnest job I've ever had. Honestly, I don't even get paid to podcast. I show up every week because I genuinely love doing it. But I would like to make this my job. So if you could help support me in that, I would appreciate you very much. I love you guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Daddy Riley, for being here. And if you guys like having Daddy on the podcast, let me know, and I will definitely force him to be on more.
Oh, all right.
I'm just kidding. I don't have any. You got a mouth fart today. That's all you're getting from me. See you next Tuesday, sisters.